The alien woman begged, "Let me be your mate and bear your child." The distress beacon pulsed weakly across Jaden Torres's scanner, a dying heartbeat in the vast emptiness of the frontier belt. Most haulers ignored such signals. Too much risk, too little reward. But Jaden had never been good at leaving people stranded. He adjusted course, his aging cargo ship groaning in protest. The escape pod tumbled slowly through space, its hull scorched and venting atmosphere. Jaden maneuvered alongside, extending the docking clamp with practiced precision. The magnetic seal engaged with a hollow thunk that echoed through his ship. When the airlock cycled open, he found himself staring at someone unlike anyone he'd encountered in 15 years of hauling freight across human colonies. She was tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like liquid silver under his ship's harsh lighting. Her hair fell in midnight waves past her shoulders, and her eyes, deep violet with flecks of gold, met his with a mixture of relief and apprehension. She wore the remnants of what had once been elegant clothing, now torn and stained. "Thank you," she said, her voice carrying a melodic accent. "I'm Valora. My pod malfunctioned during an escape." Jaden helped her fully aboard, noting how she moved with deliberate dignity despite obvious exhaustion. "Jaden Torres. What were you escaping from?" "A future I didn't choose." She glanced back at the damaged pod. "I'm Lycian. Do you know my people?" He nodded slowly. The Lycian were known as skilled diplomats and engineers, their society built on intricate social contracts and arranged partnerships. "You're far from Lycian territory." "That's intentional." Valora's expression hardened. "I was being transported to finalize a political marriage. I'd rather die in the void than become a bargaining chip." Jaden respected that kind of courage. He gestured toward his small galley. "You're safe here. I'm heading to Arcturus Station, 3 days out. That work for you?" Relief flooded her features. "More than you know." As they sat across from each other sharing ration packs, the best he could offer, Jaden found himself captivated by the way she spoke, the intelligence in her eyes, the quiet strength beneath a refined exterior. Valora caught him staring and smiled softly. "What is it?" "Just thinking most people I rescue don't look quite so composed after nearly dying." "I've had practice hiding fear," she admitted. "But I don't feel afraid right now." "Strange, isn't it? Trusting a stranger." "Sometimes strangers are safer than family," Jaden replied, thinking of his own reasons for choosing a solitary life among the stars. Something unspoken passed between them in that moment. Recognition, perhaps, of kindred spirits. The rhythmic hum of the ship's engines became a comfortable backdrop to their days together. Jaden woke on the second morning to find Valora already in the engine room, her silver hands moving confidently through the tangle of wiring that controlled his malfunctioning navigation system. "You don't have to do that," he said, leaning against the doorframe with 2 cups of synthetic coffee. She glanced up, a smudge of grease on her cheek. "I want to. Besides, this coupling is completely misaligned. How have you been navigating?" "Very carefully." He handed her a cup, their fingers brushing. The contact sent an unexpected warmth through him. Over the following hours, they worked side by side. Valora explained Lycian engineering principles while Jaden shared practical tricks learned from years of keeping a dying ship operational. Their laughter came easily, filling spaces that had been silent too long. That evening, Jaden found Valora on the observation deck, gazing at the star field beyond the reinforced glass. The light caught her silver skin, making her seem almost ethereal. "It's beautiful," she whispered as he joined her. "I've traveled between worlds my entire life, but always in diplomatic vessels with no windows. I've never just looked." "That's criminal," Jaden said softly. "The stars are the best part." She turned to him, her violet eyes searching his face. "My whole life has been schedules and expectations and proper behavior. These 3 days with you, fixing things, talking about nothing important, eating terrible ration packs, I've never felt so free." The vulnerability in her voice drew him closer. "Valora. I know this is temporary," she continued. "I know when we reach Arcturus, we'll go our separate ways. But I want you to know that you've given me something precious. Hope that a different life is possible." Jaden reached up, gently brushing the smudge of grease from her cheek. His hand lingered there, and he saw her breath catch. The space between them seemed charged with possibility. What if it doesn't have to be temporary? He heard himself ask. Valora's eyes widened, then softened. She leaned into his touch, her own hand coming up to cover his. Jaden. He kissed her then, gentle and questioning. She responded with surprising intensity, her fingers threading through his hair. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. This is complicated, Valora whispered against his lips. I know. He rested his forehead against hers. But maybe complicated is worth it. She smiled, truly smiled, and pulled him close again. They stood wrapped in each other's arms, the stars wheeling silently beyond the glass, neither wanting to think about what awaited them at Arcturus Station. Arcturus Station loomed larger on the viewscreen with each passing hour. Jaden felt Valora's growing tension as she stood beside him on the bridge, her usual grace replaced by agitated movements. There's something I need to tell you, she said finally, her voice trembling. About why I kissed you back. Why I can't seem to stay away from you. Jaden reduced their speed, giving them more time. I'm listening. Valora took a shaky breath. My people, Lycians, we experience something called the recognition. It happens rarely, maybe once in a lifetime if we're fortunate. It's a biological and spiritual awareness of a compatible mate, someone our very DNA calls to. Like love at first sight. Jaden asked carefully. Deeper than that. She turned to face him fully, her violet eyes intense. It's a certainty that reaches into your bones. I felt it the moment you opened that airlock. I've been fighting it, telling myself it was gratitude or circumstance, but... She paused, wringing her hands. I've recognized you, Jaden. My body, my mind, my soul, they all know you're meant to be mine. The weight of her words settled over him. That's why you were so comfortable with me so quickly. Yes. And it's why I need to ask you something that may terrify you. She stepped closer, her eyes glistening. In my culture, when recognition occurs, the one who feels it must court the other properly, with honesty and intention. If the bond is accepted, we mate for life. We have children together, build a future together. Jaden's heart pounded. You're asking if I'd consider that? With you? I'm asking if you'd let me court you. Let me show you what I feel, give you time to discover if you might feel something similar. No pressure, no obligation. Just possibility. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I know it's insane. We've known each other 3 days. He reached for her hand, interlacing their fingers. 3 days that have felt more real than the last 15 years. That evening, Jaden set the ship to autopilot and led Valora to his modest quarters. They sat together on his bunk, the small space intimate and warm. Tell me about this courting process, he said softly. Valora's face lit up with cautious hope. She explained the Lycian traditions, the sharing of stories, the gradual intertwining of lives, the physical intimacy that built trust and connection. As she spoke, she traced patterns on his palm, each touch deliberate and meaningful. May I? She asked, gesturing to the space beside him. Jaden nodded, and she settled against him, her head on his shoulder. They talked for hours, sharing dreams and fears, old wounds and tentative hopes. When she lifted her face to his, he kissed her slowly, reverently. I don't know if what I feel is recognition, he admitted between kisses. But I know I've never wanted to explore something more. Valora smiled against his lips. Then we'll explore it together. The proximity alarms shrieked just as Arcturus Station appeared on long-range sensors. Jaden lunged for the controls while Valora secured herself in the co-pilot seat. 3 ships incoming fast, she reported, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Mercenary-class vessels. They're after you, Jaden said grimly, already calculating escape vectors. My family must have posted a bounty. Valora's hands flew across the sensor panel. Jaden, you can jettison me in an escape pod. They'll follow me and leave you alone. Not happening. He pushed the engines hard, but his old hauler was no match for pursuit craft. The first volley of weapons fire rattled the hull. Valora moved with sudden purpose, activating the communications array. Mercenary vessels, this is Valora of House Thalen. I'm willing to negotiate directly with your commander. What are you doing? Jaden hissed. Buying us time. She raised one hand to silence him as a grizzled face appeared on screen. Commander, my family is offering what, 50,000 credits? I can offer you 75,000 to turn around right now. The mercenary laughed. You're worth twice that, princess. To the right buyer. While Valora kept him talking, employing every diplomatic trick she'd ever learned, Jaden worked frantically at the controls. A desperate plan formed. If he could reach the station's defensive perimeter, they might have a chance. Another impact threw him sideways. Pain exploded across his ribs as he struck the console. Valora cried out, cutting the communication and rushing to his side. I'm fine, he gasped, though blood seeped through his shirt. Keep them talking. No. Her voice turned fierce. She grabbed the weapons controls, barely functional on a cargo hauler, and returned fire with surprising accuracy. You've given me everything. Now let me protect you. The next 10 minutes blurred into a desperate dance of evasion and counterattacks. Valora's piloting skills, combined with Jaden's intimate knowledge of his ship's capabilities, kept them alive. When station security finally arrived, forcing the mercenaries to retreat, they collapsed together in the pilot seats, shaking with adrenaline. Valora's hands trembled as she examined Jaden's wound, her tears falling freely now. You could have died. You almost died protecting me. Worth it, he managed, covering her hand with his. Valora, I need to tell you something. Rest first. No. Listen. He pulled her closer despite the pain. These past days with you, I felt more alive than I have in years. What you told me about recognition, about knowing someone is meant for you. I don't know if I feel it the same way, but I know I don't want to lose you. I know I'd fight 100 mercenary ships to keep you safe. She kissed his forehead, his cheeks, his lips, gentle touches full of desperate relief. I asked you once if you'd let me court you. Now I'm asking something bigger. Her violet eyes locked with his. Jaden Torres, would you consider becoming my mate? Bonding with me under Lycian law? Starting a family together, building a life together, no matter how impossible it seems. The enormity of what she offered settled over him, not as a burden but as a gift. A future where he wasn't alone. A home that wasn't just a ship. Someone to wake up beside who understood the stars the way he did. Yes, he said simply. Yes to all of it. The bonding ceremony took place in the cargo bay Jaden had cleared and cleaned until it shone. Federation law recognized Lycian marriages, and the station's magistrate had agreed to witness remotely. But the ritual itself was purely theirs. Valora had fashioned ceremonial lights from salvaged components, their soft glow filling the space with warmth. She wore a simple white dress borrowed from a sympathetic station vendor. Jaden had managed to find clean clothes that almost looked formal. In my culture, Valora explained, her voice thick with emotion, bonding is witnessed by light, the light we each carry within us, now shared. She held out her hands, palms up. Jaden placed his hands over hers, their fingers intertwining. The lights around them seemed to pulse in rhythm with their heartbeats. I vow to honor your freedom, Valora said softly, as you honored mine when you could have turned away. I vow to stand beside you in danger and in peace. I vow to build with you a home among the stars where our children will know both courage and love. Jaden's throat tightened. I vow to protect what we're creating together. I vow to never let you feel caged again. I vow to be the partner you recognized, to spend every day becoming worthy of that gift. When they kissed, sealing their bond, the magistrate's voice crackled over the comm. By the authority vested in me by the Federation, I pronounce you legally bonded. Congratulations. The weeks that followed transformed everything. Jaden filed asylum papers for Valora at the Federation Embassy, citing political persecution. Her family's attempts to reclaim her failed against Federation law protecting refugees. They sold Jaden's old hauler and used the credits, combined with Valora's hidden savings, to book passage to New Harmony, a colony world known for its diverse population and acceptance of mixed-species families. 4 months after their bonding, Valora emerged from the small clinic in their new settlement, tears streaming down her silver cheeks. Jaden's heart stopped. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." She laughed, grabbing his hands and placing them on her abdomen. "I'm pregnant, Jaden. We're going to have a baby." The joy that flooded through him was overwhelming. He lifted her, spinning her around as she laughed and protested. They'd found a small house on the colony's edge, with wide windows facing the stars. Over the following months, they painted a nursery in soft colors, assembled a crib together, and argued playfully over names. On a quiet evening, as the colony's sun set in shades of amber and rose, Jaden stood behind Valora, his arms wrapped around her, his hands resting on the gentle swell where their child grew. She leaned back against him with a contented sigh. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked softly. "Answering that distress call? Taking on all this complexity?" Jaden kissed her temple, breathing in the scent of her hair. "Every day I wake up grateful I heard that signal. You and this little one, you're my home now. My purpose. Everything I didn't know I was searching for." Valora turned in his arms, her violet eyes bright with unshed tears and fierce love. "We found each other across impossible distances. Built a family from nothing but faith and stubborn hope. And we'll keep building," Jaden promised, kissing her deeply. "One day at a time, across all the stars." Outside their window, the first stars of evening began to appear, infinite points of light in the darkness, each one a promise of possibility, of journeys begun and homes found in the most unexpected places. The end.